Hello, it's Leslie Lane Peabody with the Ninja Diaries. And today we are here talking about failure to freedom with Keith Palmateer, the free range human. Hello, Keith. How are you?
Good morning, Leslie. How are you?
Good morning. So you're kind of sitting out there on the ocean right now in San Diego is what I'm hearing.
I am. Yep. I'm here on San Diego Bay at the marina where I keep my boat and where I live.
That would be so cool. I love to be on a boat. It rocks you to sleep. So you could like seasickness, right? Nobody comes on your boat with seasickness?
No. We're inside the bay where it's protected, so it's safe and it's calm.
Oh, that is so cool. So how did you get a houseboat? How did you decide to live on a boat?
Oh, I grew up around boats back in Michigan. We always had ski boats and pontoons, and anybody that lives in the Midwest knows all about that scene. So I always loved being on the boats and being around the water, and so it's just kind of a natural thing. And I laugh. It's kind of only half true. Is that the thing that really tipped me over for wanting to live aboard was watching Miami Vice when I was in my 20s, and Sonny Crockett lived on a boat. I thought that was the coolest thing ever.
I love that. I love that.
It was a few years after that before I got around to it, but I always think of that.
Well, I'm landlocked right now with my kids, but when I'm dreaming about what I want to do, it's living on a boat and go from this place to that place and scuba diving all over the world. That's what I'd do if I could.
There you go.
And I will, but I just have to get my kids out of school first, I think.
Right. Well, that's what we're in this business for, so we can take off and have that kind of freedom.
That's right. That's right. So I first met Keith a couple weeks ago, and he was on the stage in front of 1,000+ people in Nashville. And he was introduced as a man who had taken failure and turned it into freedom. Now, so many of us experience this. We try something and it doesn't work right away, and we get frustrated and we get disappointed, and many of us quit. But Keith didn't quit. So Keith, tell us about your journey. Tell us how hard it was to get going and what finally turned the corner for you.
Yep. I got started. This is my first time doing business online and in the industry we're in, doing direct sales, that type of thing. And I've owned a business in the past. So if I had any advantage at all, I'm already used to what I've heard people describe as it's almost like this manic depressive kind of cycle that entrepreneurs go through.
Yes.
That's just part of life when you're in business for yourself. You'll have the greatest week in the world, and the bank's full of money and everything, and you still then all of a sudden at 3 o'clock in the morning you wake up and you're like, how am I going to make payroll? And you get used to that kind of cycle no matter how successful you are or what you're doing. And so I was prepared for that with this business starting out. But honestly, because I was running another business, I was guilty, and I don't recommend anybody to start this way, but I was guilty of kind of dipping my toe in and then just getting ready to get ready. I didn't really take any action for nearly a year, and which happens. Life catches up with you. Whatever. Business was good with my other business, so there wasn't a pressing need. I joke about being the worst possible place an entrepreneur can be, and that was comfortable. I was comfortable. I didn't need to make something happen straight away because I was behind on bills or anything like that. This was something I started in addition. So I finally got to the point where it's like, I need to do something with this. I kept going to company events and I kept plugged in with my team. And then finally, we talk about how important going to events are, and that indeed did it for me. I was at an event, and I knew going to it, it's like, I got to decide this weekend. I'm either going to do this or I'm not. And I got some motivation at the event, listening to somebody. I can't even put my finger on exactly when the moment was, but I came out of it saying, that's it. I got to follow through with this and at least give it a try. So that's when I really dug in and started.
That is amazing. But you were already in business first. What made you want to do online marketing if you already had a successful business?
What I wanted to do was just, it was already good. I wanted to make it better. I had the kicker for me is that I wanted to be more portable, be able to travel more. One of my I'm a boomer, so that's kind of my market demographic, and I live in a part of the country where there's I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by a lot of very successful people, and my client base and my friends as well. And something I noticed over the years is that the people that really have it going on never truly retire. They don't retire in the traditional sense where you think you're going to get a cocktail and jump in the hammock and never get out again. I've seen people try and do that, and it always ends badly. I think people at their happiest when they're being productive. And being around these very successful people that I've been able to meet over the years taught me that lesson. So I wanted this business both as something to be portable, but something I can do in, quote, retirement, which I'll never retire. That's just that's just the way I'm wired. And I think human beings in general are a lot happier when they're being productive. So that was what spurred me to have this business, was to get away from a type of business where I had to physically be in one place or be in one town. And I can travel and still be productive and do it from wherever. And there's a lot of, in the business, you see a lot of 20-somethings running around the world with their backpack and doing that. And it's great, but when I want to travel or I think about having the freedom, it isn't necessarily always have to be something exotic. Not myself, but people my age, they might just want to be able to, take some days off, take the grandkids to Disneyland and have the freedom to do that. Where you can go on a Wednesday and avoid the crowds, or you can go visit your kids and the grandkids and not have to be home. You can keep up with what you're doing from anywhere. And sometimes it's just as simple as having the extra time and the freedom on a daily basis to just, sit and have that extra cup of coffee in the morning. So it's, it doesn't have to be exotic, but it is an overall, it's about the freedom of movement.
So do you still have your other business? Because you've just recently turned this business around, right? In the last 90 days, 120 days. How long has it been since you turned it into a success?
It's been about 120 days. Once I started seeing results, this is something to go back to a point you made earlier. I got serious. I told you about kind of sitting on my hands for a while, and I got serious about actually doing something with this business 8 months ago. So it would have been back at the end of September in 14. I decided, all right, I'm going to do this, and got into it and started what I call working it seriously part-time while I still worked my other business. I worked this with some discipline, like a second job. And everything's going great now. And I tell my team, the people that are working with me, is that you got to be patient, because for the first 120 days, I was working, doing the grind, and didn't see anything. And for people that are used to a regular job, now with my business background, I know 120 days is nothing. Right. You can spend half a year launching a project or a product, and so people that don't have the experience doing this think, oh my gosh, I've been working at this for 2 weeks and it's not working, I quit. So you can work on this for 6 months, and and you just have a dribble here and a dribble there. But then when it started happening, in the last 120 days, I've made, just as of this morning, just a couple bucks shy of $34,000.
Wow, that's amazing.
And that's all happened in, give or take, the last 120 days. So the 120 leading up, it would be real easy to throw in the towel and get discouraged. But then when it started to pop, it went all at once. And now, I've got, everybody likes the big, giant, sexy numbers, but, I'm just real steady right now, clicking away at 1,000 a week, 1,000 a week, 1,000 a week, and building on that, going from, it started 800 a week to 1,000 a week and going to 1,200 a week. And, that, just looking at that one number, 1,000 a week, that's your average family income in the United States.
Right.
Most families make 50 grand a year. So give or take 1,000 a week. I was able to get to the average income in this country with less than 8 months of work. So it's not that difficult. It's just having the foresight to get through the first 4 where nothing's happening to get to the last 4 where I'm seeing the results. So if there's a lesson in that rambling story of mine, that's it.
And we do have to tell you that, just because Keith is making that level of income, that doesn't mean you will. We are here showing you what's possible. His results aren't typical because he's in the business. So many of us do what Keith did the first year. And they say they're working a business, but then they're just kind of sitting around waiting for money magically to pour in and doing nothing for it, right?
Yeah.
So
as our friend Dave says, you can't just sit there and click and refresh Facebook over and over and over and call it working.
That's what I want to do.
Like as Leslie said, my my results aren't typical, but neither am I. But it is possible. I'm no genius. It's like, I had a business, but it's construction. I'm a construction worker. I'm not, some Harvard MBA or anything like that. I just went from painting houses to doing this on my laptop, and so it's not rocket science. It's not that difficult to achieve if you just go to work. That's I'm sad to say it's not anything more exciting or secretive. There's no secret sauce. It's just go to work.
That is the secret sauce, right?
Yeah.
And be disciplined.
Yeah.
Do what you're supposed to do.
Yep. And it's hard to do, particularly if we've got new people watching right now, and you've got your background's always been in a job. God bless you. That's where we all started. Right. But you're used to having that structure and knowing, you have to be there at a certain time and you have to leave at a certain time, and there's certain things you have to do because you've got somebody watching over your shoulder and you're accountable. Well, that's one of the biggest challenges, I think, for new people is you have to develop that discipline to, turn off the TV and go write some ad copy, or go do some research, or go work on your funnels. And nobody's gonna be in your living room making you do that. That's a decision you have to make for yourself, that this is something I want.
That is so true. And did you know anything about those things, funnels and things like that, before you got started? Did you know that because of your business background?
Now, I am before I started with this, I had zero background with computers. I could barely manage, getting emails out and, playing around on Facebook. I didn't even have my other business. I didn't even have that computerized. I was still doing handwritten invoices and all that. So I am completely a product of the product. Everything you see of me online, from my Free Range Human blog to my fan page to the results I'm getting, everything has happened since I started this business, and since I started just, again, no secret sauce. I followed directions. I do have some good mentors. I will say that. In a way, I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. You've got your leaders. You got your, like Leslie or myself, and I'm working with a really good team, working with Brian and Rhonda Swan, and studied with like Justin Berengia and Jabril Agoro. In that regard, I am totally standing on the shoulders of giants. But you have these people available to you, and you have their training available. Even if you have to go pay for it, it's money well spent because you're investing in yourself. And here, I had to put my ego aside because I thought I was a businessman. And then I meet all these guys, and a lot of them are younger than me, and they're not wearing, work clothes, and some of them aren't even wearing shoes.
Exactly. I was going to say, not wearing shoes.
And it's like, and I had to kind of turn all that judgment off and say, you know what? I don't care if the guy's barefoot. He's making $500,000 a year. I need to listen to that cat. And once I finally did that is when I started seeing the results. And and I have them to thank for sharing the training, but I also, it's like I'm the one that had to open my ears and close my mouth and learn. So, and every team, every sponsor has those resources. So all you have to do is ask for them. They're there for the taking.
That is so phenomenally true, And I think people our age have it a little bit more difficult than the younger crowd because depending on where you are, like I have 3 teenage boys I have to support, right? I just went through a divorce, so I'm trying to keep the house. I'm trying to keep them in school. I'm trying to do all that at the same time. And then I'm looking at young kids being successful, and I'm like, how come I'm not? Well, it's because I haven't put in the time. I'm running after my kids. I'm going to football games. And you can still do it with all that going on in your life. But the problem is you have to be more disciplined.
Yeah. Yep. That's, they do have an advantage, and there are, we call it at the beginning, I've heard a lot of people call it the grind. And yeah, and as I just described, first 90, 120 days, it's, you're operating on faith, because a lot of times you're not seeing results. Every once in a while you get lucky and lightning strikes and you have a couple people join up in your first week, and that's great. That's motivating. Nothing is as motivating as results.
Exactly.
But that doesn't always happen, and you've got to keep going anyway. And when the kids are screaming, or you got to get somebody to soccer, and you're right in the middle of writing, you're flowing and got some really good ad copy going, and then you got to get up and leave it. But developing those skills to like come back and sit down and get back into it is, again, it's that discipline thing. There's no magic. Again, no magic. It's just digging in and doing it. When that work is done, though, is when you start to see it pay, and that's when it gets fun. When you wake up at 6 in the morning and there's already $2,000 in your account that happened overnight from someone you never spoke to, and it's like, now, yes, it's working. That's what all the hard work is for. And those, again, results not typical, but we'll do our legal disclaimers, but it happens. It does happen if you do the work.
And you stick with it, right?
Yeah.
I liken it to a baby. How many adults do you see that are still crawling? You just,
exactly.
Yeah, right. So if you're willing to fail 1,000,000 times, you will succeed on the 1,000,001st time, and then it will turn around fairly quickly once you get into that success zone.
Yep.
Figuring it out between the failure and how to get there. We're learning every time we fail. We learn, what did I do wrong there, or well, that didn't work. I mean, all of the people fail. They fail bigger than we do because they're making more than we are right now, right? I mean, some of those failed marketing budgets are astronomical, more than we make in a month. They spend on advertising.
Yep. And you've got, you take it up another notch at the corporate level, they'll spend millions on failed ad campaigns, and it's part of, as the cliche is, failing forward. One of the stories, it's an old lesson, but the first time I heard it told was Chris Jones, who's with the iPass system. The story's been around forever. It's just the first place I heard it. But he talks about having a deck of cards, and you hand somebody a deck of cards and say, "I'll give you $1,000 for every ace you turn up." Start flipping cards, and it's it's there. The aces are there, but you can't go through 35 cards and just say, "Oh, you know what, this doesn't work, I quit." The aces could be the first 4, they could be the last 4, they could be scattered throughout, but with certainty that the aces are there in that deck. And we're lucky to have a business model where I think it is that certain. Everything in this business is driven by metrics. You can look at the numbers. It doesn't have to be a leap of faith. It doesn't have to be magical, copywriting skills or whatever. You can follow the basic directions that comes with your team, and mathematically you will, if you do this long enough, you will get sales, period. So it's like those aces in the deck. You just keep turning them.
You just have to keep plodding along, right?
Yeah, and it's not always fun. It's not always sexy, but you get up and you do it anyway. I was up at 5 this morning. Guess what I was doing? I had the laptop open. Looking at results from overnight and looking at what my funnels are doing, and it's all on the first cup of coffee. But that's part of what you do. It's kind of fun, actually, to be deep enough into this business now that there's some mornings I have to get up and actually look and check the calendar because I don't know what day it is. It's there's that kind of freedom, and I'm able to build the It's like, oh, I need to go do some shopping or go pick something up. And it's like, no, it's Saturday. I'm not going anywhere near the mall on a Saturday because I don't have to. It's a zoo. I'll do that at 2 o'clock on a Wednesday afternoon when it's, just me and the crickets at the mall. It's great. But it's, having that kind of freedom means you've got to have your discipline. You do the work, but then the freedom comes. So.
And I found it much more difficult to be disciplined in this business because my kids are older now, but I went through an MBA program when my kids were younger. So I was working full time at that time. I had 2 children that were under 10, and I was doing my MBA program. That was really easy for me to be disciplined because I had to turn in assignments at a certain time. My professors were, I'm the boss. And if I choose not to do it, it doesn't get done. Nobody's looking over my shoulder. So, okay, well, I'll do this instead of this. No, you have to focus and discipline yourself or you'll never make it.
Yeah. Yep. And it's, you say it's not always this like fun, sexy message. I mean, say, yes, there's a lot of marketing and saying, yes, you can do this, but I don't, particularly in our demographic, I'm working with boomers. I'm not going to, I'm actually in one of my most recent posts, I made fun of the whole pitch where it's like, oh, you can make $1 million in your underwear, sitting at your kitchen table and won't it be great? And then instantly a Ferrari appears in the driveway of your mansion. And it's like, that's great. I mean, that does happen, but that's something I looked hard at coming into the industry as a boomer and somebody, I'm 53, and I looked at that and kind of smiled, thought, yeah, that works, and it's marketed, that's targeted at a different demographic. That's, it's a great message for the 20-somethings and even the early 30-somethings, which, they do it because it works. It does get your attention, and who doesn't like shiny cars and all that? But I kind of made fun of it in some ad copy. It's like, yeah, whatever. It's like I could, have a bag of cash drop in my lap this afternoon, and I wouldn't go buy a Ferrari. That's just not who I am at this age and what I want. And that's why I've used the example of, for people like us that are getting in the business, yes, it's entirely possible, and you can learn all this. And don't be turned off by the marketing you see that's all, young 20-somethings with backpacks traveling the world or buying Lamborghinis or whatever it is. And it's like, yeah, that marketing works, but that's not for us. That's, my marketing is focused on people that, number one, they aren't prepared for retirement. If you look at the financials on baby boomers in this country, the numbers are pretty dismal. There's fully a third of 55-year-olds in this country that don't have $1,000 in the bank.
I would that. Yes. Oh my God.
And there's maybe, I'm rounding numbers off. There's maybe another third of the boomers that barely have $50,000 in the bank, and that's not going to keep you in cat food in your golden years.
Myrtle.
Yeah, and those people are going to have to do something in the retirement, and that's just, sorry, that's the cold hard facts.
It is.
You're going to have to continue to work. So now you just get to decide. Do you want to do it at home and do it on a laptop like we're doing? Or do you want to put on the little blue vest and go be a greeter at Walmart for your golden years?
Right.
Or take some other menial job, working the overnight shift at 7-Eleven, God forbid. There's just, you can't get around the math and the facts that there's a whole lot of people our age that couldn't retire if they wanted to. So when we've established that fact, you're going to have to work. What do you want to do? Why don't you do this? Because you can do this and maintain your dignity and do it from home, or you can do it from the grandkids' house, or you can do it from Disneyland. But you get to decide, and you don't have to continue on with a just totally undignified employee model into your senior years. So that's a big part of how I'm targeting my market. And And then there's people like me that are just, they're established business owners and want to do something to remain productive. And this is a great way to do it. You can keep your hand in the game and do something fun, do something portable, do that. So yeah, that's where I'm targeting. And there isn't a Ferrari or a mansion in my marketing anywhere.
So what do you drive, if you'll tell us?
Oh, I got a big old F-350. I got a big old redneck truck.
It was big enough for all those Kiwis in the back, huh?
Yes, yeah, you saw those pictures. Yeah, it was great.
They were
I got a camper on the back too. It was fun. The last event we were at in Nashville, we went off for dinner out. One of our team members had family in town, and so we went out to this beautiful cabin in the woods. Well, I ended up loading up like 15 people in the back of my truck and taking them all out there. So it was fun. That's the one thing with all those years of construction, I developed a taste for driving giant trucks. So yeah, no Ferraris. Beat up old truck for me is fine. I'm more interested in where I'm going to drive it than what I'm going to be. Yeah. I'm more interested in where I'm going to drive it than what I'm going to drive. So this lets me go and drive that anywhere. I have it, actually have my mobile office. I have it set up in the back where I can sit and plug in everything I need to plug in and keep all my 12-volt stuff going and get on the laptop and my Wi-Fi card and do business from out in the middle of the desert when I'm out there riding dirt bikes or up in the mountains camping, whatever. I can still get work done.
That is phenomenal and amazing. So do you still run your other business as well?
I do. I still have a hand in it. Just in the interest of time, to make a long story short, there's a process when you're selling a business. I had a real high-touch business where my clients are used to seeing me. So the gentleman that's interested in buying my business is coming on board, and I'm starting to transfer over some of the duties. But there's going to be a transition period where I need to get him familiar with my client base and who they like. And it's kind of a high-end. I work in a lot of real nice high-end homes. And just my customers don't like seeing new faces around. They've worked with me and my crew for a very long time. And so there's a transition time, but yes, that's in play. I am still working, but it's in a transition capacity. And I'll be phasing out of that soon.
That's pretty brave.
Yeah, pretty fun. I mean, it's a big adventure. You can, you can let fear stop you, or you can turn that energy around and use it to motivate you. That's one of those choices.
Oh no, I think we lost him.
No, am I here?
Oh, there you go. I hear you. I don't see you yet.
Okay.
So still talk though. We can still hear you.
Okay. Yep. So that's that's the other point with people starting out. Yeah, it's scary. It's scary at first. I'll totally admit to that. But you got to push through that fear. Take that adrenaline and use it to motivate rather than to paralyze.
Mm-hmm.
You can't lose if you don't quit. It's that simple. I've always been a big fan of bumper sticker wisdom, and you just get it said in nice short bits. You can't lose if you don't quit. And the other one I tell myself almost every day is that if you want something you've never had, you have to do something that you've never done. Yeah. It's just that simple. You can't keep doing the same thing you've always done and expect different results. Where you are today is the result of your best thinking so far. So if you don't like where you're at, you want to aim higher, you got to do something different. Then you're going to have to change the way you're thinking and change what you're doing in order to get different results than what you have so far. So, and that's what this business, this industry, and this business model is so good at teaching people and getting people out of their little box and get them out there.
That is so true, so true. And so you talk about going to events. The next event is coming up for us in Las Vegas. Are you going to that event then?
Oh, absolutely. I'm in San Diego, so I can drive over. You may do too. You're not that far driving from Denver.
I'm in January, but I'm going to drive in July. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. No, I'll drive over. It's only about 4 hours for me, so that's fine. It's a nice drive through the desert. I'll be there with my great big truck.
So I would recommend to anybody watching or listening here to join with us and join Keith or join me and join us in Las Vegas and get your own pop. Get your own pop. Figure out what you want to do in life. get to an event, and then change or start your business, depending on where you are. Change or start your business, because even you can do that, just like we can. We're kind of old. I'm not quite as old as Keith, but I'm pretty darn close. I'll be pretty darn close in another month. So it doesn't matter how old you are. I think that's the most important thing. We see those young whippersnappers. I don't even know how to close an app on my phone. Every time I give it to my kids, they're closing my stupid apps. They're like, Mom, how many of these things do you have? It doesn't matter how technically savvy you are, because the training is step by step, and even we can figure it out.
Yep. Yep. It's the training's very thorough, and the systems are automated. So once you've set it up, you can just let it run. And it's not, as hard as it is the first few weeks, it's not going to be that hard forever. That's why you've got to just push through it and keep going. Because after a while, I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. It's only hard the first few times, and then it's just like, oh yeah, I can do that. Then you get to just laugh at yourself with how frustrated you were when you started.
Yeah, and people our age, a lot of us say it's not rocket science. You'll be okay.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It's we've laughed about when it's somebody I met at the event was actually a retired cop, and we were. And I've been in construction most of my life. We were laughing about one of the new people was going, "Oh, this is so hard." And she leaned over. She's like, "I used to have to like tackle 300-pound crack addicts in the middle of the night and stuff them in my squad car." You know, she's like, "That is hard. This is typing." You know, ultimately, it's challenging, and yeah, you know, it's like. I've been climbing ladders and hauling stuff around and lifting heavy stuff for my whole life, and it's like I had to laugh at myself. It's like, no, this isn't hard. This is just typing. It's just you just have to think and type your way through it, and yeah, so it's pretty comical.
It's new.
But it does come right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. So let me ask you this question. In all your experiences here, what has been the best value to you? What have you liked the best about becoming an online marketer?
One more time, what do I like the best about?
This new industry, this new marketing business that you're doing. What is the best benefit for you?
Gosh, for me, anything like that in 20 years. So it was nice for me on a personal level just to get the brain firing again and learn some new things. But the probably the best thing for me is, and again, this is something we haven't touched on. I'll throw it in here kind of towards the end, is the mindset training. It's something I was familiar with and did, but it's easy to forget and stop doing. And it works for my other business. Anybody that's in business anywhere. You got to work on mindset. The world is full of so much negative garbage, and the television's covered with it, the media's covered with it. You've got to make a point to seek out positive influence. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be Tony Robbins, or it could be your church, or it could be, you know, whatever, but you've got to actively seek out positive messaging for yourself every single day. And that lesson in this industry, and to see it so prevalent in this industry, it was really neat for me, and I really like that part of the industry. It's also our biggest challenge in the industry, is to take people that say have never been in business and teaching mindset. You teach what is possible. There's people in the world that have never in their life had someone look them in the eye and say, "You can do this." And to watch people get that message and transform and have the greatest wins they've ever had in their life is amazing. That's an amazing part of the business, is teaching people mindset and seeing them just blossom and succeed. That's probably the best part of this.
I would have to agree. That is a phenomenal part of this. It really is. And I see that in my children now. My 19-year-old son is thinking about quitting college, going back whenever he wants to do whatever he wants to, but he's got his own plan, right? And he's, yep. Mom, I can do whatever I want. I'm like, hey, yeah, you can. That's cool.
Yes, you can. And I mean, sadly, there's people in their 50s and 60s that don't believe that. They don't believe they can do whatever they want. And again, it's something I wrote about recently in an ebook that I'm going to publish. Is that all these years working and the employees I've had, I've always been really proud of being a job creator and having people do well that were working for me. And I've always teach, train, mentor, and have brought people along and taught them how to be good employees. But now I still like the teaching, but I can mentor and teach and train and give someone a business instead of just another job.
Right.
And it's no more effort than what I was doing training employees, but then they ultimately, all they got from that was a good job with me. Now I can take and do this the same amount of time, the same amount of work, and hand someone a job, a business that's in their laptop, and then just say, go. You can go conquer the world if that's what you want to do. And that's an amazing gift to be able to give someone and give them that training. And like I say, it doesn't have to be Bali with a backpack. It could be, just get an RV and go, or where there's so many examples in this industry again of like the big shiny fancy examples. But my favorite stories are like the single mom that maybe living in her parents' basement with a couple of kids, and she's making a couple $100s a day. You know what? That's life-changing money for her. And those stories excite me more than the guy with the Ferrari. Those are great, but a lot of people can't get their head around that and stay motivated with that. But if you can take somebody that's never had a chance, never had a break, and you can get them to where they're just making $100 or $200 a day on a consistent basis, I mean, that's the start. That's where you get people to believe they can't have anything better in life, and you show them that they can. Industry stats will tell you if you can get people to $5,000 a month in this business, they'll stay in it. And so that's my goal for my people starting out. If I can get them to $5,000 a month and just show them that it's possible, that's the thing. Develop that mindset. You got to believe that it's possible. And if you don't have the evidence sitting in front of you on your laptop right now, you don't have the zeros showing up in your commission column, then you go out and you look and you see the people that are doing it, and you stick with your mindset training. You follow the Bob Proctors and the Tony Robbins, and you do all that, and you have to just inundate yourself with it and know that you can do it. And if you stick with that discipline and then actually doing the work, as we've talked about, you'll see the numbers. The numbers will start showing up in that inbox. And I know it's a stretch at first. It's an act of faith, but it will absolutely work if you do the work.
So did you have to do that every day, get a dose, an injection of positive thinking from somebody or something?
Absolutely. I've made it, and like any practice, you fall in and out of it. But I've done it over the years. 20 years ago when I started my business, I was very, very much immersed in that, and that's what gave me the courage to go do that. And you can go through periods, and I said when things aren't going so great, even with the other business, I think what's missing? It's like, I haven't been doing my daily. It's you're doing your daily audio, your daily reading, and I have Audible on my phone. I've always got audiobooks going in the car. And I'll use stuff on YouTube while I'm working with you have the subliminal music or whatever going in your head while you're writing. Helps with the flow. There's just you've got to do it. You've got to do it every day.
That's great. So if you had one tip, the most important tip that you could give anybody who's watching you today, what would that be?
Oh gosh, it's hard to put it in one word, but
come on, give us a bumper sticker.
Well, the mindset. Do the work and do the mindset. That's doing the work on both of those. You've got to get your head right, and then actually just sit down and start banging on the keyboard and do the work. There's your bumper sticker. Put a bow on that. I wish there was some super sexy secret sauce, but there isn't. It's good old-fashioned work, and people our age understand that. There's no magic slippers you can put on and just click your heels. It's mindset and actually executing, doing the work. And pay attention to your training. It's all right there.
And are you still doing the training Now that you're successful, do you still go back and do the training?
Oh, absolutely. You have to. And by teaching, doing things like this, by teaching, you're learning. Nobody gets the lesson better than the teacher. But yeah, it never stops. But it's got to be, you hear a lot about the 80-20 rule, Pareto's law. You got to be 80% action, 20% training. You got to do the work that's going to be income producing. You can't just, you can't just sit and listen to mindset all day long and think something's going to happen. That's got to be 20% of your day. It has to happen, but you also have to do the action of the actual income producing activities. And so it's balance, it's work. Like I say, I know what you're looking for. I wish there was like some really shiny bow I could put on it. It's just like in one little thing, but yeah, it's mindset and doing the work.
So if people want to learn more about you, where do they find you?
Oh, thefreerangehuman.com. And I am the Free Range Human on Facebook. Go to my fan page there, and my blog is thefreerangehuman.com. And come up when you Google either of those, and you'll get my smiley face.
And I love your videos. They're great. I watched several of them this last week preparing for this. So I loved them. You do a great job. And I love watching you on your Facebook page and traveling across the country like you did the last 2 weeks with a bunch of people. I think that's the other benefit I think we get is we meet people from all around the world and they become our friends. I would have never met people from all over the world and called them my friends before I started this business.
Yeah, no. My record is being on a hangout like this, and we were, I think the record was we were on 4 different continents and 6 or 7 countries on one hangout. We had people everywhere from Singapore to New York to London, and we're all just chatting like this, and it really is a global community. That's pretty cool. I enjoy that too.
Well, I love it. And I want to thank you for being on the Ninja Diaries today. We love to have people like you come and share their secrets of success with us. In fact, it was the last event that caused me to start doing the Ninja Diaries because Justin and Dee said, do a podcast. I said, oh, well, what a great idea. I think I will. So that's the action you're talking about, right? You go to an event, you get an idea, you take an action, and you implement it. And you have done that in spades. We are going to be watching you to catapult from here on out. I know that's going to happen for you. And I thank you so much for joining us today on the program.
All right. Thank you for having me on, Leslie. It's been a joy. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the airtime. Everybody out there, have a great week and go produce.
Bye-bye.
Bye.